How's it going, movie fans? My name is Jonathan. I'm a man of movies, and we are here once again, about a year later. I'm here with my wife. We are going to talk about our top 10 films of 2020. Last year, she was in the video with me to give her thoughts on my picks, but she's got her own picks this time. And this video is going to be some sort of a hybrid. It's going to be a mukbang matinee video. We got some pizza here. It's greasy as hell. That's how you know if you can get a heart attack from this pizza.
It's good.
It is good. Help me out.
I got it.
This is some greasy pizza. With the amount of movies that we were able to see in 2020, there's going to be a lot of honorable mentions that we just didn't put it up in our top 10, but I think they are deserving enough to at least mention them to you. My honorable mentions goes as so: One Night in Miami, I Care a Lot, Nomadland, Pieces of a Woman, and Minari.
And my honorable mentions are I Care a Lot, The Invisible Man, Promising Young Woman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Muse of the World.
Rounding up my personal list in number 10 comes in Palm Springs. You can check the movie out on Hulu. And we saw it not too long ago. I really enjoyed the film, which I was surprised because it's a very, not cliche, but we've seen the premise done hundreds of times before. The whole Groundhog's Day scenario of a person repeating the same day over and over and over again. But I think the type of comedy that the movie has with Andy Samberg at the helm is something that I was very much enjoying up until the point where I started enjoying it even more with the whole premise of what it means to be alive. Is life worth living? And is there a point in having relationships with people if life doesn't really mean much? Is it worth being intimate and loving a person if you're just going to repeat the same day over and over and over again? It's deeper than the comedy, and that's something that I really just couldn't get over. I really enjoyed it.
My number 10 is Pieces of a Woman.
Okay, which is my honorable mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really liked it, mostly because I love how you say
The
that?
cinematography?
The cinematography, exactly.
Okay.
I really like that, especially at the beginning.
Mm.
You remember that? They didn't even do a cut. They filmed everything.
Yeah, I mentioned in my review how in the first, I think 20 minutes or so, while she's giving birth, it never cuts. It's a very slow film, but it's not boring.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening, even in its just dragging of the events that are happening. There's a lot of symbolism and a really cool message there about grief and having to talk to people before it just consumes you. I totally agree. Coming in at number 9 for me is Malcolm and Marie. It's on Netflix. You can also check that movie out, and it stars Zendaya and John David Washington in some of the best roles I've ever seen them in. Zendaya was my favorite female performance in 2020. John David Washington was up there when it comes to, male leads. The story is so simple, but I love the risk that the director and the writer took with telling a story of a couple coming home and arguing for the next 2 hours. I just thought the simplicity was my favorite part of the movie, and a lot of people didn't really enjoy that aspect. I, for one, thought that it was artistically driven.
My number 9 is Judas and the Black Messiah.
I didn't think it was going to be in your list for some reason.
Why not?
I thought you were going to mention it in your honorable mentions, but I don't know.
It was really good.
Because I tend to talk about the movie better than you do. That's why.
No, I always liked it. It just wasn't my favorite of the year. That's always why I try to say it's not my favorite film, but I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Everything about it. I there's nothing bad I can say about it. I loved the history of it.
Okay, yeah. With the whole, the Black Panthers back in the 60s and... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't want to say too much.
The actors are really good too. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be really high on your list.
Maybe. Now, my number 8 favorite film of the year is, again, on Netflix. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a movie that we saw We binge watched a couple movies that day, and that was like the second one we saw, and I really fell in love with it. It's the production design, I should say, is very simple in the fact that it looks like a play. It feels like a play. It plays off like a play. But it's not a bad thing. It is the strength of the movie. It's short, and that's what I wish it wasn't. I wish it was a lot longer to develop more of the characters, but the characters are developed enough. And then you got Chadwick Boseman, who is the lead actor in this movie, who plays Levy, who is, I don't know, a jerk. And there's a love-hate relationship I have with the character in the movie because he's been through some stuff. He mentions a lot of his backstory with his mom. He lets all that anger and hate get to him, and it just explodes at the very end. It's a tragedy, I guess you could say. But that's my number 8.
My number 8 is Malcolm and Marie. See, I told you it was a little higher on my list for all the reasons you said. I love the relationship. It was really good to see. Yeah, I loved the whole thing, how you could see the whole argument and then getting back together and then arguing again and finding reasons why, like deep down, why she was actually angry and why he's angry. I love that, and I loved Zendaya in this. Big fan, so I really liked her acting here, and yeah, that's why I like Malcolm and Marie.
Right above that at number 7 for me. You might be surprised, or maybe not, because I don't know where this movie lands on your list. We literally saw this movie not too long ago. Number 7 is I'm Thinking of Ending Things on Netflix. Also, when we came out of this movie, I hated it. And I remember, like, the movie ended, and I'm going, oh my God, F this freaking movie. I hate this movie.
Yeah.
It made no sense. What's the point of having a movie like this that makes no sense? I literally wasted 2.5 hours of my life. Just, what's going on? And I started even dozing off toward the end.
Yeah.
Like, I am so done with this. But then the next day, I guess I have such a soft spot in my heart for artistic films where at the very beginning I hate it, and then give me a day and I'm already loving it, and I'm dissecting it in my mind, and I'm like texting you at work while I'm working, and I'm like, wait, do you think this means this or that means that? And I'm telling you,
doing that, yeah.
That's what I was doing. I was at work, she was at work, and I'm like, wait a second, I think I'm loving this movie. It's a movie that when you go into it, you need to really expand your mind. The director made a very abstract movie for you to go in and actually think about and dissect. Don't turn your brain off. Don't think this is a popcorn film, because the moment you go in thinking this is a movie with just a regular plot, you're going to be disappointed.
So the reason why I laughed
Okay.
when you said the movie is because that's my number 7. I'm thinking of ending things. I was really excited to say this because I had like a whole speech of what I wanted to say, but you mentioned already everything why I really like this film.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, but the other reason is because, like I said, it's like the back of, like, when somebody's talking, the camera changes and then they go back, a different background. She's changed. She's older now. At the beginning, I wasn't noticing those things.
Because it's so little.
Yeah, it's so little.
It's not like she's a redhead and then the camera goes and comes back on her and she's a blonde. No. It's like she's curly hair down, and then the camera comes back, and then maybe like a little piece of the hair here is tied up.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, am I going crazy? Is something changing here?
Yeah. That's why I really like that. I like those little scavenger hunts, maybe?
Yeah.
That's what you could call it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You think people will like if I do like ASMR and I'm eating pizza crust?
No, it's nasty.
Some people fall asleep to it. Coming in for me, number 6 is the most surprising film of the year. The most surprising. The Invisible Man. Starring freaking Elizabeth Moss, who I am in love with this woman, okay? She can tell you, because I tell her all the time. But the movie is so much more than just a crappy Universal horror film like The Mummy, you know, the one that came out with Tom Cruise. Yeah. This is a movie that deals very much so, and the commentary is about domestic violence and how that affects the victim. And throughout the whole movie, she is going through PTSD, and it's affecting her life in such a very heartbreaking way. And just in between this commentary of domestic violence against women and how that affects them for their life till the day that they die, is a horror movie about this guy who's invisible, and how it's not only messing with her psyche even more, but it's making people think that she is worse than she
Like she's
even
gone
is.
psycho.
You know, like she's gone complete psycho now. Seeing Invisible Men with a ending that is one of the most satisfying endings that I've seen in a movie in 2020.
My number 6 is No Man Land.
No Man Land.
It made it pretty high on my list, surprisingly. What's that face?
You might as well have, like, we could go outside to a nice park and you just saw Nomadland.
I liked it. I don't know what it was. I liked it because knowing that there was like people that were not actors in it.
That's cool.
How she actually lived it, being a nomad land.
Nomad, yeah.
Yeah, nomad. I like that she was in that world. She got to know people in that world, and you get to see this, like, the camera working in the views and everything, like how it all looked. So I liked everything, all of that together. I think it made a really good film. My number 5 is surprisingly is pretty low on my list. Is Soul.
Okay.
Soul.
So.
Amazing.
Why?
Oh my god, amazing.
Why?
The music, the score, the animation, the story. I loved everything about it. From him wanting this dream and not being able to reach it, and then he finally reaches it, and then he ends up
Wow, like this is what life was all about?
Yeah,
Like this was it?
Yeah.
You know?
What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Soul.
Also?
I think this is a movie that I thought like it was gonna be a lot higher.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I thought it was gonna be like the best movie of the year, Soul.
Yeah, me too.
And it came off for me, and I mentioned in my review, a little heavy-handed on the message of like purpose and what it means to live your life truly. But I'm not gonna talk about the bad. I talked about the bad in my review. Yeah, it's like what you said. The characters, the whole experience that they all go through.
Yeah.
The best thing about it is that you need to live your life to the full extent.
That's what you learn from it.
You learn this,
Yeah.
but that made it worth it for me. That very message of chasing after your dreams shouldn't mean that you cannot enjoy life. If you lose your touch, if you lose your enjoyment in life in pursuit of your dreams, then life is no longer worth living.
My number 4 is One Night in Miami. I really enjoyed this film.
Okay.
I really liked it. At first, I did not like it. They were just in one room, talking, having conversations, and I was not enjoying it at first, but the time went by the next day, and I was thinking more deeply on it, and actually listening to their stories, and actually understanding more of their stories. I ended up really enjoying it.
Okay.
I loved how they showed each story of each person and what they have gone through, being black.
It was in my honorable mentions for the same reason that you didn't like it at first. Is I just never got over that it was just a movie about a couple guys in a room talking. You found the deepness and the meaning behind all that, and I do understand where you're coming from, and not to take away from that opinion, because that is your number 4. That's a big deal. It's up there. My number 4 is Sound of Metal. It's a movie like you, very similar. How you came out of One Night in Miami, not really liking it. I came out of Sound of Metal, not really enjoying it as much as some people would say. And then time just takes place. You start marinating on the movie a lot more, and the messages throughout. It is a great film, and it's a very tragic and heartbreaking film about a guy who is in a rock band with his girlfriend, and he's losing his hearing to the point where he loses his hearing. He becomes completely deaf. It's a very hopeful story, though. I think it's very hopeful in how Paul Raci, who plays the owner of the little farm he has with all the deaf people, and he wants to teach him that there is hope in this disability, that you could find so much good in what you are finding everything wrong in. And it's so tragic how Riz Ahmed's character throughout the whole movie just tries to find a way to fix his disability that he should not see as a disability, and in every way see as a blessing in disguise.
My number 3 is Onward.
That's your number 3?
That's my number 3.
Okay.
I love that. Better than Soul.
Okay.
I cried like a baby at the end. The bond between the brothers reminds me also of me and my brother. And how close they are. Well, kind of. And they kind of argue a lot. And how he's really nerdy, the older brother, and him. He's just trying to be cool. and everything. Just that reminds me so much of my life with my brother, that's how it made it like touch me so much, you know. And it was just really good. I loved everything about it. Nothing negative. Did it not even make your list or should?
So yeah, coming in at number 3 for me is Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah was a movie that really stood with me after we saw it, with a gripping story of betrayal, freedom versus oppression, and biblical overtones throughout that play very tragically. Beautiful cinematography throughout. And I like how the movie doesn't show them to be good guys that police were just pointing their finger at. But that, yes, there were a lot of racists on the cop side of things, but there were a lot of terrorists on the Black Panther side of stuff too. Yeah. And you're like going, oh, okay, this is pretty complex. I don't know what to think about Kaluuya's group.
My number 2 is Minari. I was debating if it was gonna be number 3 or number 2
because of Onward.
Yeah, okay. I loved Onward.
Okay,
but Minari, there's just something about it that I really loved. There's not much to say because it's such a simple movie. This movie, just seeing the way the boy grows up in this life now, seeing his father struggling, and then the grandma coming in, she was amazing. I loved her. Yeah. Just everything together. The wife wanting to leave, them figuring it out, then the wife supporting the husband after everything that went down. Yeah. Just amazing. I loved everything about it.
My number 2 is Onward. I was having such a tough time with that. And my number 1 just flip-flopping because I was in love with Onward, okay? I didn't cry like she did in the movie, like just bawling out like a baby crying. But it did hit me because I am a brother. And you have that relationship with your brother. And not to take anything away from that because you felt everything that I felt. And that's what really resonated with me. There is a very fun, adventurous story to be told about this journey, going to find the secret of bringing their father back completely. And there is just way too much depth and meaning and heart in this movie for me to not put it higher than Soul, higher than Judas, higher than Sound of Metal. This movie was great in every way.
My number 1 is...
I knew it. You didn't know it, but I knew it. I knew it.
I love this film so much. Oh my God, what can I say about it?
Everything I said about it.
Everything you said about it. I don't know what else I can add to that because it was such a great film. I love how they included somebody losing their hearing because you don't see that a lot. And then you also included people that are already used to it also, that he can learn from them. Yeah. And I just loved it. I loved it. What can I say?
All right, we have come to the very end. It is the Man of Movies number 1 film of 2020. And it is a movie that you might know what it is because I talk about it so well. I love this movie and it has a really good soundtrack, a pretty good score. And I guess all I could say is...
It's Britney, bitch.
No!
It is Promising Young Woman. What a great film that was for me.
That is surprising.
It's not even on your... Was it even your honorable mentions? Did you mention it?
Yeah, I did mention it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's... For me, it is my number 1 film of 2020. It is so... intriguing. The whole movie of Carey Mulligan's character being this woman that shames men for a lot of the actions that they have gotten away with for all of their life. Yeah. And she goes to bars and she pretends like she's drunk, and when they're about to have their way with her, she shames them, and it kind of just scars them. They're like shocked, and it makes them like look at themselves like, whoa, I'm gross, I'm disgusting.
They don't even believe it.
Yeah, and the reason she does that is because she's had a really bad experience with that when she was in college. And because of this, she's on this vendetta to shame men. And when something comes up again, when the perpetrator of this thing that happened to her friend comes up in her life again, she comes up with one of the most awesome plots to not only shame him, but more, with 5 steps. And the movie begins with step 1, and the movie starts out, and you're like, oh snap, where is this heading to? But it's just very sad what obsession could do with you. Yeah. It is so just groundbreaking, I thought. It's the Joker movie for women, and I don't know if you agree.
I don't agree. I mean, it is a really good film. I don't know, it's something about it that I didn't like so much.
But those are just our thoughts. She has her own list, her own opinions. I got my own opinions on everything. In the same way that we could have discourse about it and not get mad or anything. Let's get in the comments. Let's talk about your favorite films of 2020. What's your number 1? What's some of your honorable mentions? But real quick, you want to plug anything? Any social media? Anything like that? For
follow
my viewers.
me on Instagram. I have 2 Instagrams, but follow me on my Disney one. I love Disney. I'm always going to Disney.
We are always going to Disney.
We are always going to Disney, but I love it a little bit more than he does. So follow me. Can you put the link right there?
Yeah, we're gonna.
It's Francis
in the bottom.
In the bottom, and it's Francis at the Parks on Instagram.
But like always, like this video, share this video with family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. Till next time, movie fans.